And our money lead, a steady drop on gas prices. AAA says the national average is now $4.16 a gallon. That's down nearly 40 cents since last month, but still $1.18 higher than before the war with Iran started back in February. Some experts warning the downward trend may be short-lived. I want to bring in Mike Sommers, President and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute. Mike, really appreciate you coming in. To start, and as you know well, there's way more that I want to get into with you than we have time for, but do want to start with gas prices, because that's what the audience is probably looking around wondering, all right, is this downward trend going to stick? The president was asked about this in his NBC interview. He said this. Take a listen.
Are gas prices going higher, or have they peaked?
They're going to come low, very low. They're going to go lower than they were before.
Have they peaked?
As soon, well, it depends. I mean, it depends where the war goes.
A reasonable answer in terms of what may happen in the future. For the right now, as long as this conflict remains at the stage that it's in, what should people be thinking right now?
Well, first of all, we're in month 3 of a shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. That means about 20% of the world's flow of oil has been essentially shut down for over 3 months. The reason we haven't seen a significant increase in gasoline prices is because of American production here in the United States. It is because that we produce more than 13 million barrels of oil every single day that the United States has been relatively insulated from the shock that we've seen elsewhere throughout the world.
You make a really great point. I think it's important for people to understand the production, the refinery capability. What the U.S. has done is serving as almost the linchpin of a triage effort around the world over the course of the last 100+ days. Has been nothing short of extraordinary. However, there's not a ton of new production coming online. Inventory draws are significant both on the commercial side and on the Strategic Petroleum Reserve side. How durable is this over time?
Inventory draws are significant. We're seeing significant inventory draws, particularly in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but you're also seeing draws in commercial inventories as well throughout the world. This should be very concerning to every American consumer, because as those inventories go down and production isn't increased, you're going to start seeing a significant impact at the pump. That's going to happen over time, but again, it's because of American production that we haven't seen those same price surges that you've seen in other parts of the world.
We talked about the SPR. Again, the drawdowns have been significant, particularly over the course of the last couple of weeks. You can check API's weekly statistical report, which is usually a good, helpful leading indicator of things. What level does that get to where you start saying, okay, we have a real problem here with the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, not just reserves in general?
Well, we're raising alarm bells right now. We're at about 350 million barrels left in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. You have to have about 20% of that left for it to be operational, for our system to operate. So we're getting to levels where we're starting to be concerned. I will say, though, you're starting to see production increase, not just in the United States, but in other places as well. We're seeing some green shoots in the oil patch. Rig counts have been going up consistently week on week. You're seeing more production, potential production in Alaska, in the Permian Basin, and in other parts of the United States as well as a consequence of higher prices. But consumers should be very concerned that as inventories continue to draw down, I'll give you a great example of this. We've already seen a draw of gasoline inventories of 38 million barrels. That is almost the entire amount of the inventory that we use in the summer driving season. So we're starting to get very concerned. The only thing that we can do in the short term to fix this problem is to get the Strait open as quickly as possible.
Short of that, I think one of the biggest questions anybody who's followed this has had is, all right, why aren't oil futures soaring right now? Why are they kind of lingering around $100 below for the last couple of weeks as well? What is your sense of that? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense given the fact we're in the midst of the biggest oil shock in recorded history.
We are still very concerned about what those inventories are, but there are a couple of key reasons why you haven't seen the shock that I think anybody would have anticipated if you'd shut down the Strait of Hormuz for 3 months. There are a couple of things going on here. First of all, China has cut their oil imports by 50% since the beginning of this crisis. They have tremendous strategic petroleum reserves themselves. No one actually knows what that number is, but they think it's over 1 billion barrels of strategic petroleum reserve in China. So China has essentially left significant amounts of oil on the market that they previously had been importing. That's one key reason. So you don't truly know how much oil is out there right now. So you've also seen a significant demand repression going on in Southeast Asia in particular. So they're putting in rationing in place. They're telling people not to go to work. So their energy use is going down also. So it's really an issue of we didn't know how much inventory was out there. China not importing as much as they previously had, and rationing going on throughout the rest of the world. You're not seeing it here in the United States. Again, that's a reflection of increased American production.
Yeah, there's no question about that. The China piece of this is fascinating and about as opaque as it gets, but a huge part of it nonetheless. Mike Sommers, really appreciate you coming in.
Great
Thanks
to be
so
with you,
much.
Phil.